I was walking home from Walmart late last night after buying some ginger ale. I needed it for important reasons. I would have taken my car, but sometimes I like to walk through the forest and sing Disney songs to all the stray cats that live in the trees there. And aside from that, I live just a couple miles from the white and blue supercenter. This night was different, however, from all the others. There was no moon to be seen in the sky, and no cats to be heard in the lofty trees. Something was off, and everything seemed wrong. Once I had waltzed in 10 or so yards into the forest, I couldn't even see my croc-clad feet. This was going to be a dangerous descent to my domain. I put my ginger ales back in my backpack and retrieved my 220-watt flashlight from my fanny pack. I always kept it on me. My Boy Scout counselor had always told me to be prepared for everything. I sometimes like to explore different areas of these dark woods on the way to and from Walmart, but in this case I knew it was best not to veer far from the trail. Before this town became a metropolis, all this land was cattle pasture, and the cows had blazed trails along the safest paths. One of the trails leads almost directly from my place to the parking lot of Wally World. I heard a twig snap behind me. I spun around, waving my flashlight furiously as if it were a dangerous saber of plasma. There was nothing to be seen, but I felt as though I were being watched. I had hoped that in the best scenario, it was just one of the nice homeless people that lived in these woods. They were always friendly. Sometimes they give me vitamins. I knew from the Boy Scouts not to take candy from strangers, but I had also been taught to always eat my vitamins, so I never turned down an opportunity to consume any. In order to keep my spirits high, I began whistling some Taylor Swift tunes. They always made me feel good inside. It wasn't long before I heard movement in the not-so-distant trees or brush. I casually cast my light from left to right as I followed the path of safety paved by Mother Nature's beautiful creatures. I was deep in the woodland now. The reassuring blue glowing beacon of the supermarket sign was a distant memory at this point. As I made my way over a hill, my bright light of safety caught a tall figure standing in the midst of the trail in yonder distance. I froze in fear, but only for a nanosecond, as I soon regained my Boy Scout bravery that I had earned my badge for. I had saved a frog from drowning, and my counselor awarded me this badge. I was proud. The slender figure stood motionless in the distance. I yelled out, "Do you need help changing a tire? I have the instructions in my scout guide. I keep them in my fedora. I could also help you cross the street if that's what you need, because as a Boy Scout it is my duty to force my assistance upon everyone." The lanky humanoid seemed to distort and flicker in and out of dimensional presence. It couldn't be my flashlight. I had put new Energizer batteries in it every morning and every Friday. The lofty man vanished. I ran down the path. Fear was now threatening to disqualify my bravery badges. This wasn't good. I ran past the location just previously inhabited by a skinny giant. I barely kept visual contact with the trail now. My lights swung left and north and shook up and east. This was not the Boy Scout way, but neither was interexistional people. Interexistional people isn't even a word. I hadn't made it far in my petrified dash before I tripped over a red cedar root and planted my facial region into some soil. My flashlight flung from my hand and landed approximately 12 meters away. It cast its now eerie light in my general direction. I felt blood running down my face, and my ankle felt weird. I sat up on one side as best I could. Blood dripped into my left eye. I could see a bone protruding from my ankle. I started feeling lightheaded. This was bad, and my Boy Scout counselor wasn't there to cuddle me and softly whisper in my ear that everything was all right. I called out for help and prayed into the void for some miraculous salvation. I heard footsteps and distorted gusts of wind. There was the 12-foot anorexic man standing just a couple yards from me. His face was absent and looked like a white, empty canvas. The closer he got, the more he radiated a feeling of comfort and safety. Fear and pain dripped away with each droplet of blood. I watched them fall and splash into the crimson puddle beneath me, as I now hang from this tree. The slender man stood with the horizon of trees. He watched me sway and bleed until the first ray of morning sun invaded the gloomy tavern of oaks. Not long after he glitched into nothingness, I heard the meows of my friends. I was happy to see them swarming this jungle again. I wrote all this down on my notepad that I keep in my fanny pack. I taped the story to one of the cats while she was eating my leg. Maybe somebody will find this, and hopefully they'll believe me and warn Boy Scouts everywhere to never come in these woods.